All right, good morning, traders. Today is February 23rd, 2026. The month is going by extremely fast. It seems like it, anyways. All right, I want to thank everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you so much for following, liking, and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that. Like that a lot. Thank you to Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted for sharing the content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. Appreciate that. Love that a whole lot. Thank you for all the kind words and the kind comments on any of the content out there on social media. All right, so how I plan to trade SPY today before we get into it. Let's take a look at what happened Friday. All right, my SPY pivot this morning, 685.95. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Diamond Dow, outside day, closing over a bearish trap over the 17. SPY, higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap over the 17. Nice, like that. QQQ, outside day, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17. FNGU, outside day, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17. IWM, higher low, higher high, closing above a bullish trap over the 17. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute, it looked like more like, excuse me, 10-minute consolidation, but we did have a little bit of a lift or a ramp on there, so 10-minute uptrend. Silver, higher low, higher high, closed over a bearish cross over the 17. Look for some follow through on that for today. Gold, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. Look for some follow through on that for today. USO in an uptrend made an inside day that's a lower high and a higher low. Close over a bullish trap over the 17. UNG it made a higher low and a higher high, closing inside the bearish trap and under the falling 17. US dollar index starts a new daily uptrend. Closed near, started it a couple days ago. Closed near the 97.79 area. SPYMAX pain supposedly, if they haven't changed it, 687 with a put to call ratio of about 1.4 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. If this is your first time seeing this, these are all in bullish daily uptrends over the 17. These are all in bearish daily downtrends under the 17. If it has a star next to it, it's building out a bull flag. I call it a launch pad from which to launch higher. If it has a star next to it over here, it's building out a bear flag. I call it a platform from which to dive lower. So downtrends, uptrends. All right, let's take a look at the markets, and we'll dig into that in just a minute. Start off with SPY over here on the game plan. Not yet game plan. SPY. So we got, you can see the sticks and the 3 are riding up over the 8 EMA. Let me give you the lay of the land. This burnt orange right there. This one right there. That is our VWAP line. Okay, that is a moving average. Then we've got the 8 EMA, which is the white line, and then the yellow line is the 3 EMA, okay? So we got the 3 EMA and the candlesticks riding up on top of the 8, and you can see, so I call that a 10-minute uptrend. The 3 is up over the 8. It's more of bullish consolidation in essence that price went up and is holding the higher ground right there on the 10 minutes. Not doing it this morning, but it was excuse me, into the close yesterday. The pink line, that is the all-time high anchored VWAP, all right, which is on the 26th of January, right there. So you can see we haven't made a new high in over a month. About a month. All right, so let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. 2-hour chart, we have the sticks and the 3, well, the bodies of the sticks and the 3 are up over the rising 8. So we have a 2-hour uptrend. On the daily chart, we got a higher low. Nice green candle there. Like that candle. Higher low, higher high, closing over bearish cross and over, this is the 17 EMA. That's these dots. that turn green when it's above and red when the price is below. So you can see, and we're up over the 17 EMA. Then we have an uptrend line dating back to, well, that dates back to October, an uptrend line, and we're back above that uptrend line. That's nice to see that. We're at the top of quadrant 4 or near the top of quadrant 4. Okay, so that's bullish. All right, we have not made a higher high yet, so we're still in a downtrend. But the good news with all these green candles we've seen lately, it's not moving down. Okay, so there's SPY on the daily chart. On the weekly chart, you can see all the green dots here, obviously hanging out way over the 17 EMA. We're still bullish and in an uptrend on the weekly chart. On the monthly chart, multiple green dots. Right here, here is our origin of our move back in April of last year. Okay, so here's price action moving up and over to the right. So this is still bullish and in an uptrend on the monthly chart. Nothing broken there yet. So there's SPY on the monthly and on the weekly. All right, both bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at the daily, the game plan. We'll look at that on the 15. And we'll back out here so we can capture everything. All right, so we got green erases red over 689.80. We've got the pivot 685.95. We've got red erases green under 681. Is that right? 55 under 681.55. Okay, so I like Friday options on the multiple of 5. Just happens to be today's a Monday, so it's going to be 4 DTE and 11 DTE. I trade 0 DTE in addition to those in which I like to swing trade. Okay, I like strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. They are much less. They cost me much less, but they don't have the performance that an in the money option would have. Okay, I like to trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP and 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, my favorite trade is the 10-minute uptrend that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside a daily uptrend, that resides inside a weekly uptrend, inside a monthly uptrend. That's my favorite trade over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Well, you can see right now from the 15-minute chart, here's the pink line, we're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. We have a 10-minute uptrend. We have a 2-hour uptrend. We've got a weekly uptrend and a monthly uptrend, but the daily uptrend is not there technically. But the good news is price is moving up instead of down. So possible that may manifest sometime today. Possibility, we'll see. Doesn't look good so far. So there's SPY on the 15. That's the game plan for today. If a 10-minute uptrend were to manifest down here, long before the green erases red entry, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks that bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. And if a 10-minute downtrend were to manifest up here, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks that 10-minute bearish rubber band candle. Let's take a look at QQQ because they got a game plan as well. Take a look at QQQ here. You can see price action on QQQ. Bullish consolidation, 10-minute consolidation right there into the close. Moving up, holding the higher ground. Okay, so that's QQQ. All right, on the 2-hour chart for QQQ, we'll take a peek at that real quick. 2-hour chart, we'll zoom in here. You can see the sticks and the 3 are riding up over the 8. So that's 2-hour uptrend coming into the close as of yesterday. Okay, QQQ game plan, excuse me. 605.90 is the pivot. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Green erases red over 610.10. Red erases green underneath 601.10. It's a wide range right there. We got, again, I like the same options. I like the 4 DTE and the 11 DTE. Friday options on the multiple of 5 specifically for the open interest. Again, I like a lot of liquidity. I don't want to be paying more than 1 or 2 pennies over bid for for whatever I want. All right, I don't want a lot of slippage when I get stopped out either. So I like a tight bid-ask spread, and I don't want a lot of slippage when I do get stopped out. Okay, so for that reason, I like a lot of liquidity. So that's why I choose the Friday options on the multiple of 5 or the 0 DTEs. There's a lot of liquidity inside the 0 DTEs as they ramp up each day with traders trading from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. All right, I like strikes. Same thing, $2 to $15 out of the money. They're much cheaper. Remember, I don't have a lot of buying power. So when it comes to buying power, I only have 10% of my account. So if my account's 46K, I only have 4,640. My daily goal is always 1%. My max risk is always 10%. So I only have 10% of this to use for risk. All right. Daily goal again is always 1%. So always 1% of this is what my daily goal is each day. All right. So for that reason, I cannot afford to purchase a whole lot of. I like to buy more than one. All right, contracts. All right. So I can't. It's hard to afford more than 4 or 5 when you're dealing with max risk of 460, 40, and you're dealing with in the money options because they tend to cost a little bit more. All right, so that's QQQ on the 2-hour chart. Let's go back to the 15 right here. So again, on the game plan here, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Same thing applies, all right? My favorite trade is that 10-minute uptrend that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend, okay? So on QQQ, all over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so we may have that today. I don't know yet. We'll take a peek at it later on. All right, right now, let's take a look at the rest of QQQ, see their performance on Friday. Again, if a uptrend were to manifest down here, I'm not opposed to trading it, just like to see it break that bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. All right, so let's take a look at the daily candle for QQQ. Okay, you can see QQQ not in a daily uptrend because it is printing lower highs and lower lows and another lower high and another lower low. Again, recently the last 5 trading days, price has not been moving down. It's actually been moving sideways or a little bit to the north. So there's QQQ on the daily. Yesterday's candle was an outside day. It's a higher high and a lower low, closing over a bearish trap, but under. See that falling 17? We're also under. See this all-time high anchored VWAP right there. So that's QQQ. Weekly chart. Here's our April low. That's the origin of the rally we're currently in. And you can see where price has moved up and over to the right. So that's bullish. So that's bullish in an uptrend. They have not broken anything yet. Okay, if they take out this low, they'll have themselves a downtrend on the weekly chart. On the monthly chart, see all the green dots? This is the April low. Again, we are bullish and in an uptrend. Nothing broken on the monthly chart. Back to the daily plan. And let's go take a look at IWM. IWM moving up and over to the right. Big sloppy hold up there in the highs. Back to QQQ one more time. And I wanted to, this is in the upper third, so that's still bullish, but in a downtrend on QQQ. Still bullish because it's in the upper third. Look at price, moves up and holds the higher ground, but currently in a downtrend. Back to IWM. On the daily candle, we got a higher low and a higher high. We close over a bullish trap, over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Now, when I watch candlesticks, I like to look at the bodies. The tails and the wicks are nothing but noise for me. All right, so I'm looking at the bodies. Which direction do the bodies move, okay? When you play basketball or football or whatever, you're kind of watching the guy's hips, your opponent's hips, to see which way he's going, which direction he's going in. He may flail his arms to the right, but if you notice his body is moving to the left, okay, you want to move to the left with him. All right, so the same thing goes with watching candlesticks. Watch the candle bodies. What are they doing? All right, keep an eye. If you see they constantly inching higher and higher, that is a bullish sign for me, where they are ramping up to go further up. All right, so IWM on the daily chart, again, that is near the top of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. They have not made any lower lows, and in an uptrend on IWMs. Take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow's got a outside day, higher high, lower low, but closing over the bearish trap, over the flat 17, but under the all-time high anchored VWAP, near the top of quadrant 4 up there. And is still bullish. They have not made any lower lows yet. I don't think so. Yep. That is still bullish and in an uptrend on Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at Stinker. Stinker just not performing for us. Just not ready yet, I guess. Outside day, higher high, lower low, closing. See the candle bodies? See how they move lower, lower, lower? They're not really moving up, are they? Right here. So price, higher high, lower low, closing inside a bearish trap. Okay. Not very impressive. And under the falling 17 and under, this is the all-time high anchored VWAP right there, and under the all-time low anchored VWAP right there. So currently in the middle of the quad lines, so it's not in the lower third, not in the upper third. So this is neutral and still in a downtrend. They have not made any higher highs yet on the daily chart. Let's take a look at silver and gold, and then we'll hit oil and gas. Okay, nice day for silver on Friday. Higher low, higher high. Closed over a bullish cross. Closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP, closed over the falling 17 EMA here. We do have a downtrend line, which I think price may come into contact with either sometime today or tomorrow right there. There's silver, and there's that downtrend line. And that downtrend line probably for today's candle resides right around 80.50. I would look for it to spike it, maybe 81. It'd be some profit-taking area for me. Anywhere up in the top of this candle up there. So there's silver on the daily candle right there. It is not in the upper third, so it's still neutral. Not in the lower third, not in the upper third, so it's neutral and still in a downtrend till they can make a higher high. And that would be, I don't know, they got to go all the way back up here to make a higher high. So neutral and still in a downtrend for silver on the daily chart. Let's take a look at gold. Gold still in an uptrend. Gold got a higher low and a higher high. Closed over a bullish trap. Over the flat 17. Still in the middle of quadrant 4. So that's still bullish and in an uptrend for gold. USO. USO put an inside day. It's a lower high and a higher low. Closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17. Okay, it's back out here. Okay, you can see it's at the top in the middle of quadrant 4. So that's bullish because it's in the upper third. That's bullish. And in an uptrend because it's making higher lows and higher highs on USO. Take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG, higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap under the falling 17, under the 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there. Okay, price action still in the middle of quadrant 1, so that's bearish. They have not made any higher highs, so that's still in a downtrend. So bearish and in a downtrend, excuse me, on UNG. T2101. This will be participation. So the market moved up for the most part Friday. A little bit of a rally occurred. And participation increased. So that is a good sign. That's a bullish sign. I like that. But you can see participation keeps thinning more and more each day. T2122, all right, did not quite make it into the buy zone yet on Friday or the overbought zone. We made an equal low and we made a lower high. So again, things are just kind of winding up here. Spent most of the day inside the buyer's chop zone, producing this inverse head and shoulders. We'll see if we get up here sometime today. Looking for follow through to that big candles that we saw yesterday. Okay, so this is T2122. I like that it's still on the bullish side of the mid-court or the half line, 50-yard line. You can see this would be the Bears territory. Well, this would be the Bulls territory. I like that. Or the Bulls end zone would be to get back here. Okay, or the Bears end zone is up here, and the Bulls have to score in it. Okay, so the Bulls are looking like they have control of the digital football anyways. Okay, right there. So there's T2122, T2123. This would be yesterday's candle, and you can see right here who's got the football. T2123 made another new all-time high. Okay, so they moved up. Bears filled the gap. Again, we closed with an uptrend on the 15-minute chart, making a new all-time high on Friday. So you can tell who's has the ball. The Bulls are still in control currently. The only thing holding SPY and QQQ back is probably the Mag 7 or the FNGU. It's all the big cap stocks that are the heavyweights that keep dragging it down. They just can't seem to get moving up. If they just stop moving lower and move to the right, that would even help out a little bit. But there's T2123, obviously bullish and in an uptrend. 3-bar chart, you can see right here. Here's our April low. We produce a new all-time high. We pull back, make a higher low. And the bulls get inspired to make another new all-time high. Actually, from this day right here, I think we made new all-time highs every single day going up there. Just about around that. About every 2 days, we made a new all-time high. On T2123 3-bar chart. So clearly top of quadrant 4. Remember, this is our April low. Top of quadrant 4, still bullish, still in an uptrend, okay? And up over the rising 200 SMA. So that's bullish and in an uptrend. Stinker on the 15. What did they do? Well, Stinker put in a lower low, first candle. So that's downtrend. Got a high here, so now they made a higher high. All right, now the question is, did they put in a lower low? Well, got a low here. They made a high, made a lower low, so they're in a downtrend on the 15. They got on top of the falling 200 SMA, but not showing much strength. Really just barely holding on to it. Just not much there, okay? Not much strength being shown at the time, all right? Still over the head and shoulders, the inverse head and shoulders, neckline. That's a good sign, but looking like a big fail here with this falling 200 on the 15-minute chart. So you can see right here, from the move up to the highs, we're not even in the upper third. All right, so kind of neutral right here, even from this perspective, and it gets even worse if I drag this all the way out here. Okay, if I drag it all the way out to as much of the 15 as I can capture, you can see clearly we're down here in quadrant 1, still bearish, still in a downtrend. You can see the low, they made a lower low, so still bearish and in a downtrend on FNGU there. If I squeeze it back only to include this low and where we got so far with this high, you can see we're not even bullish. We're still neutral. Just measuring from this low right here back to the most recent high made on Friday. Still not in the upper third. Having complete difficulty holding higher ground. And this is FNGU, aka stinker. All right, so let's take a look at U.S. dollar index. Here's the 2025 high. From there, we go into a downtrend on the daily chart. All right, so we got to move down, and you can see into a 8-month or 7-month bear flag, hockey stick, dead cat bounce. Price just moves over to the right. Okay, and in this bear flag, they got into some uptrends, and they got into some downtrends, and you can see they're now starting another uptrend by making a higher high here. A few days ago, I think that's Thursday's candle making a higher high right there. So price action for Friday's candle is looking like an inside day with a lower high and a higher low, but closing over the 17 EMA. So, but they're still in an uptrend on the daily candle because they made a higher low here. There's a low. They made a higher low recently, and they made a recent higher high. So that puts them in an uptrend right there on the U.S. dollar index. Take a look at our economic package. All right, let's take a look at Max Payne first. See if they're going to change it. Okay, so Max Payne 687, and the put-to-call ratio is about 1.4 puts. Excuse me, for each call that expires today. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. Okay, so for economic calendar for today, what do we got on the docket? We've got Chicago Fed National Activity Index, 830. All right, I guess if you didn't get enough of one, they're going to give you 2. Factory orders, that's a delayed report coming out at 10. Got the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Survey at 10:30. And then that's it, really, right there. Tomorrow, what do we got for tomorrow? We've got Case-Shiller Home Price Index at 9. FHFA House Price Index at 9. Consumer Confidence at 10. And that's it for that day. And Wednesday, what do we got? MBA mortgage applications is 7. New home sales, again, another delayed report at 10. Petroleum report 10:30. And that's it for that day. And then on Thursday, we got durable goods, another delayed report at 8:30. Jobless claims at 8:30. Retail inventories, a delayed report at 8:30, and then wholesale inventories at 8:30. Gas report at 10:30 right there. And then on Friday, we have another delayed report. International trade in goods, 8:30 in the morning. PPI final demand, 8:30. Chicago PMI, 9:45. Construction spending, another delayed report coming out around 10 o'clock. Really, it says 9:55. And then we got construction spending at 10 a.m. And then a rig count at 1. That's it. For earnings, we've got some big boys on the calendar for earnings this week. All right? Something to pay attention to. I think NVIDIA reports this week, so all eyes are going to be on NVIDIA. Okay, as far as the economic calendar, there's no really main events here happening on the economic calendar, but there is in the earnings reports. Pretty sure NVIDIA reports sometime this week. All right, you can see right here for today we got nothing over $100 billion, so all familiar names, but not going to move the markets. Tuesday, Home Depot, 378 billion or 76 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Constellation Energy, 105 billion sometime tomorrow. Mercado Libre, 101 billion sometime tomorrow night. Again, more familiar names. Nothing that's really going to move the markets. Home Depot may have some impact on the retail sector. But all in all, I think all eyes are going to be on Wednesday's report from NVIDIA. NVIDIA $4.6 trillion. Be interesting to see what the sales are. First, they said no selling to China. Now they're thinking about selling to China. I don't know if they made a decision about selling to China or what's going on with the NVIDIA chips being sold overseas to the Asian markets. So I'm not quite sure. I don't think China's going to have any difficulty getting them. They've been able to steal everything from us already. All right, so I think if they want it, they'll find a way to get it. All right, they'll make some kind of a trade with somebody. I don't know how, but I don't think that they're going to be shut out or blacked out of buying NVIDIA chips. There'll be a way, and I'm sure there is a way, that if they want the NVIDIA chips, they'll find a way to get them. I mean, they've been able to steal everything from us before, so it's not going to change now. HSBC, $298 billion sometime on Wednesday. TJX companies, $175 billion. Salesforce, $173 billion. Here's the other half of Home Depot. Lowe's, $157 billion. Bank of Montreal, $103 billion. Again, all familiar names. Everything's going to be revolving around NVIDIA. It kind of really doesn't matter what Salesforce does unless you've got you're holding some Salesforce in your portfolio. As far as HSBC, it's really not going to move the markets. Everything's going to be looking at NVIDIA. It's $4.6 trillion, and it's tech, and it's AI related. So, I mean, you got a triple threat there, and it's got major market cap. Okay, so everything is going to be looking at this. All right, no, this is it. This is the main event this week. All right, is NVIDIA. Take a look at Thursday. 241 Royal Bank of Canada, Toronto Dominion, 165 billion into it, 105 billion. Okay, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce. Again, all familiar names here. They'll still be, lingering in the air will be the NVIDIA earnings. All right, will still be working with the smoke and whatever from whatever happened with NVIDIA. On Friday, Berkshire Hathaway supposed to report sometime Friday. They could be market movers, but it's such a conglomerate there of multiple different companies. It's not really going to break the bank. I think price will still be moving in whatever direction NVIDIA reports or whatever the market seems is good or bad with NVIDIA. Berkshire is important. I mean, it's a couple $1 trillion, but because they got their fingers in a lot of different pies, it's not really going to be a market mover. I think it will help whatever direction NVIDIA's in. Berkshire will probably help it move further in the same direction. So that's it right there. All right, that's it for me this morning. Let's take a look at SPY on the pre-market. See what we can extrapolate here. All right. We're still above the pivot, so I'm bullish above the pivot. But I sure like to see an uptrend. So I'm looking for, we left off with an uptrend up here. I'm looking for a continuation of an uptrend. Okay, so we're right on top of the pivot. Hopefully I can find a 10-minute. If we break below this, all right, I got to tell you, got to be a bear. If we get below this 685.60, more than likely I got to be a bear below that. Anything else, it looks like a buy coming back up to the higher ground up here. I don't know what happened overnight to cause the sell-off, but this is a bearish environment, but because we're over the pivot. I'm still bullish on the market, being since we moved up. This is just be the midpoint. If I had to stick the quad lines on here from yesterday's open all the way up to yesterday's close, let's just look at this. So you can still see we're still on the bullish side of the quad lines, the 50-yard line. So I got to stay bullish on this side. On the other side here, got to get bearish. That's all there is to it. Hopefully they find something or they move over to the right. So I'm looking for some type of 10-minute uptrend to manifest in this area either now or later today, to come back up here and re-challenge this area one more time before leaving this area and then coming further south. So that's my game plan this morning, is look for that 10-minute uptrend to buy into. So you got your VWAP here. I'd look for my bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. Actually, I'd probably just go to a 5 and get the 5-minute bullish rubber band candle and buy that. You can see clearly a lot of consolidation under. This is bearish. So if they break these lows, I'm probably going to be bearish as well, because that will be underneath my pivot. All right, that's it for me, traders. I'll see you all in about 45 minutes, and we will open up the markets this morning. John, is Cisco a birthday trade? Let's take a look. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for sharing. I like that. Daily chart. Go right here. And let's go with CSCO. You got to have a nice clean base. And you don't quite have a clean base. Not to say that it can't move twice as high, Steve. All right, but I like a nice clean base. All right, and this is more like that's an all-time high, and that's a huge red candle, Steve. What I like to do is I like to fill in this candle. Other traders like to call it two big red days, but for me, I like to take my drawing tools and I like to fill it in the missing part, because we gapped down. So that really was a move down. So I take this and I kind of fill it in all the way back up to where we left off the day before. So this gives you an idea how big that candle was. Okay, right there. All right, so that's huge red candle. That's like, that's a lot of money leaving. I don't know if that was earnings or not, but that's a lot of money stepping away from the market right there. So, no, this is not a birthday trade. All right, so not a birthday trade. All right, but that's a huge red candle. I'll be surprised if they can get that going, that 17 back to green. All right, they've got 5 days. They bullied up here. We'll see if they can start closing candles up above. I don't know. That's a big red candle right there. Yeah. Earnings, okay, that explains it. Yep. All right, traders, I'll see you all in about 40 minutes. We'll open up the markets. Again, I'm looking for a 10-minute, 5-minute uptrend to manifest over the pivot for QQQ and SPY.